Hello and welcome to the Newsroom with Sana. Today we're going to be taking a look at three important stories. The first is with reference to the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's visit to Saudi Arabia to attend the Future Investment Forum. And this is important particularly in terms of the way that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia enjoy great historic relationship, and then to expand that into more trade and investment. And the way forward is very, very important. And he was also speaking at a very important roundtable discussion as part of this initiative, which said, is humanity heading in the right direction, talking of course about where it is that the world is going to and what it is that the countries like Pakistan and Saudi Arabia need to focus on, and the ways of course that the two can participate and cooperate with each other. There's also agreement on an economic cooperation framework, which is going to be essential in underlining the key aspects of how we're going to take this in the next steps and the way in which both the countries can benefit from the huge potential that they hold. Our next story is going to take a look at the very important aspect of the neighborhood that was earlier discussed in Qatar and then in Turkey. But unfortunately, it seems that there hasn't really been a particular way forward that has been set out between Pakistan and the Afghan Taliban regime as to how they will protect their soil not to be used against Pakistan or any other territory for that matter. And countries like Qatar and Turkey have been providing their input as part of the mediation process, but it seems that there is no guarantees that have been given by the Afghan Taliban regime to ensure that the terrorist organizations operating from within their country will not be using their soil against Pakistan or any other country. And so the talks have ended in a deadlock. So we're going to be taking a look at what are the next steps forward. And in the end, we're going to be also taking a look at the US President Mr. Trump's Asia tour, and as part of that, a very important engagement on rare earths that has developed, particularly with Japan and many other countries also. But to the extent of how substantial these deals are going to be and how lucrative they're going to be remains to be seen. But it also signifies a step forward in terms of less dependence on China, and in the ways that that's also going to be a major aspect of discussion between the two leaders as they're expected to meet on Thursday. And so what exactly will the impact of the US's number of agreements that have been signed with the countries like Japan, and the way that that's going to affect the dynamics within the region? That's going to be our top three stories of the hour today. And we're going to start with a very important visit of the Prime Minister to Saudi Arabia. And for that, we've been joined by Dr. Ali Assiri, who's the former Saudi ambassador to Pakistan and Lebanon. Thank you very much, Dr. Ali, for being part of the newsroom today. I'd like your input first on the very importance of Pakistan and Saudi ties. We've, of course, in the recent past have expanded our relationship further as part of the Securities and Defense Pact that has been signed, as part of the economic and investment potential, particularly in mining, that we want to see move forward. And then, of course, now as part of this visit, the economic framework that has also been discussed and the way forward on that front. And so I'd like your take on how do you think that, given the current relationship that we've enjoyed since many, many decades, can be taken forward and is possible under the leadership of these two leaders?
All right. Thank you very much for having me, Sonia. And let me say assalamu alaikum to all my brothers and sisters in Pakistan who have a special place in my heart. The other thing, I think, our relationship could be described as first of all, as a genuine relationship, durable, profound, and unique. And therefore, it hasn't really been, the love and the affection between the two countries has not been translated into really benefits and the mean, to meet the aspiration and the desire of both nations. However, today we are witnessing a turning point in the relationship because we do share cultural and religious affinities and respect for both nations. And we have so many of our brothers and sisters in Pakistan coming to Mecca and Medina. Now we want to go beyond just visitation to the holy places. Now we are seeing opportunities have been put into a roadmap for both countries by the joint meeting by the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. So today we are seeing a turning point. Number one, this, like what they have signed today, the agreement that it is transforming the help and and helping Pakistan in like earthquake or on the central bank. Or now this has been translated into partnership, economical partnership that is durable, and that goes beyond the governance and the government in both countries. It goes to the private sector. The other thing, this agreement, it is a great, I would say, political determination by both leadership in both countries to further deepen the relationship, the brotherly relationship, which fits with the Vision 2030. So today has been a very special day, and this opens, great interest, economical interest, partnership, and investment and trade. Also, what we have seen in this agreement is there's new things which is very encouraging. We are seeing the link of electricity, which is a great big golden permanent chance to and the export for both countries. Also, we see that the opportunities to invest in Pakistan, because Pakistan is really rich in resources, in mineral resources, gold, metal, and whatever you call it. So when the Saudis are interested to go to a brotherly country where they can really help themselves and also help the countries. Also, the electricity link would enforce the energy and also the services for maintenance and operation. Many things. I wish we would have time to go to. The relationship that I have recently explained in a book which is recently published, because nobody has talked about how unique this relationship. It has begun before even the independence of Pakistan. It started in 1943 when Pakistan was part of India. So this historic, unique, durable relationship, we are seeing this good relationship, genuine relationship, translated into commerce, into trade, into investment. You have so much to export to Saudi Arabia. We need your help, like on the farming industry, and also the industrial. I mean, we have religious tourism also. So there are many things that, inshallah, would take action soon, because it has been legitimized and it has been legally, bounded by these agreements. I must compliment what the efforts of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of trying to have sustained good relationship, beneficial relationship for Pakistan and for the people of Pakistan, because Saudi Arabia is happy to extend anything, whether it's in the private sector, whether it's in the governmental sector, because Sonia, our relationship started in 1980 as a military, cooperation, and it just kept on, but it has never economically. We are seeing a very tangible chances for Saudis and Pakistanis to join hands and to really get involved in projects and open. Both countries are open for the private sector. So what we need is to facilitate and give access to investors to come to Pakistan, also for people to come to Saudi Arabia from Pakistan. You have a great IT experts. Also, we should focus on one thing, Sonia, which is we need skilled manpower from Pakistan. So that could be competitive, because other countries, they work so hard in training their people in many things to come to Saudi Arabia. And I think Pakistan needs to really look in. We have 2.7 million Pakistanis living in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
So, and as I said in the beginning, we have the cultural and religious affinities. So they live like as they would live in Pakistan. They have no restrictions and so on, whether religious or culture or otherwise. So we need, hopefully, that Pakistan would look into having trains and occupational training center to train all manpower come to Saudi Arabia. So people here would only go to Pakistan to get what they need from Pakistan, skilled labor, whether electricians or engineers or whatever occupation they need in
Absolutely.
Saudi
Yes.
Arabia. So that's very
Yes,
important.
Dr. Assiri, I'm so glad that you pointed out all of these aspects because they're very, very integral to our relationship. And you're right, it's very unique. And I'd like to focus a little bit more on what you said, and you kindly made the statement of how Saudi Arabia is ready to offer anything, whether it's in the public or the private sector. And I want to understand how exactly do you think that will be possible, particularly when we talk about businesses in the private sector, because engagement in terms of both the private sectors of both countries interacting, of B2B engagements increasing, is a very important aspect. How do you see Pakistan's potential and the possibilities of investing in the country and the ease of doing business in the country at the moment? Because it's essential for private companies to come in and invest in Pakistan, but it's also important for them to find that ease of doing business, to have a one-window operation, to have an environment which is conducive to their business.
I would say, first of all, I think we should address any obstacles that might arise for the investors to come to take their money back, either, to facilitate for them, to make sure that they are with the right partner. I think the government really needs to be involved, or whatever relevant ministry should be on board with the investors coming from Saudi Arabia. So because if one spoils anything, then it would reflect on the others. So we have to be very careful how to receive the investor from Saudi Arabia. Also, if there are any laws that would be an obstacle for them to either do business in Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, or also to bring their money back to Saudi Arabia or to take it to any other countries to invest. These are business people. They like to invest wherever they can make money. So these things have to be addressed by the Pakistani government. And I'm sure, this is, as a result of this agreement, Pakistani government will with the leader of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, will address these issues. Because some people, when they go to a different country, people with money, they don't want to throw their money without knowing what they are going to gain from this. Also, we need to have a presentation of the opportunities in Pakistan. What fields? Is it in the metal? Is it in the gold? Is it in the farming industry? Is it on the metal industry? Whatever chances Pakistan has, which I know it has a lot, needs to be presented, and probably do an effort to come and present in Saudi Arabia to the Federation of Commercial headquarters, and all the business community will come there and see what are the opportunities in Pakistan. So an effort has to be made. These agreements will not be enough unless if we really, move forwards, because we have the platform now, and the business community on both sides need to the chances in Saudi Arabia are open. The laws are very flexible. You could bring your money, you could take your money. There is no restriction whatsoever. Also, the facilitation for investors, it is tremendous. To be honest with you, it's so good and so flexible and simple. So we need the same thing in Pakistan. So I hope the government agencies, the relevant government agencies in Pakistan, will look at this agreement and create a roadmap with presentation, tangible presentation, and come to Saudi Arabia and meet the business community and show them what the chances are. And also the embassy in Riyadh should also help to do your embassy in Riyadh, the Pakistani embassy. I'm sure they will do this. So that way we could start.
Right, Dr. Assiri, the Future Investment Initiative is a very important platform in Saudi Arabia. Of course, it brings together a lot of the economic potential and then the opportunities for international community to go further. And every year, of course, this is grander. And so I want your take on how exactly are the countries, including Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, are looking at the future, particularly our economic future as it is guided by advanced technologies, by AI, by a lot of things that were probably not there in the past. And so how do we make sure that our economic potential encompasses and embodies all of these changing factors?
Well, I think that those relevant agencies need to be proactive, to be honest with you, to translate all those agreements into actions. It is very promising. I can assure you the investment in Saudi Arabia is clear, is flexible, and it is here. And we have seen many Americans. There are about 370 moved from some of the nearby countries to do business here. So I think it's very important for our brothers and sisters in Pakistan. There are so many fields that they could invest from little business to a bigger business. So they need to come and see and meet the Ministry of Investment here. They will be happy to guide them, to explain to them the chances, the laws. They will. There is no lack of knowledge to provide any investor coming to Saudi Arabia of, the laws and the regulations, and also which they are very simple, not complicated at all. We need the same thing in Pakistan, to make things easier for the investors coming from Saudi Arabia, because all Saudis would love to go to Pakistan and invest. So what they need to be guided, they need to be shown where the opportunities are, and they need to be also escorted in some areas somewhere where they would not have a problem, whether it's a security problem or uh, something that may turn out to be not good. I mean, by the government.
Yeah.
They need to be escorted by the government.
Absolutely. Dr. Assiri, the importance of our geopolitical relationship is also very important. And of course, that also includes our economic ties. But we've seen a very important defense pact being agreed upon between the two countries just recently, post the attack on Doha by Israel, post the Arab Islamic Summit. And a very important aspect of that pact is that aggression against one will be taken as aggression against the other. And this is very, very important in a changing environment that we see today, particularly the kind of players we have in the region. And so I want your take on how exactly do you see this manifesting and the way that the tangible actions can be taken on ground and promote peace and security through this partnership?
First of all, let me assure you, Saudi Arabia, is a peaceful nation that doesn't have any desire or intention to attack anybody. So, the purpose of anything, it is a defensive more than an offensive approach. Secondly, I want to remind you and remind our brothers and sisters in Pakistan, this is not the first defense agreement that we have between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. I can remind you of, we had a 1967 defense agreement. In 1982, we had another defense agreement, which then we have, experts from Pakistan, military experts, to come and train our Air Force, our Navy, our infantry, and so forth. And they really have built up our armed forces in different units. So that was in 1982. And then we have this agreement, which really is not related. It is, we trust Pakistan, and this agreement also is an additional, and I would not be surprised if we see another fourth or fifth agreement in the very future. So significantly, it is a defensive agreement. It is a brotherly relation. I think the Pakistanis are committed morally with the Haramain and Sharifain, and they have stated this many times. In 1979, when the attack came on Haram, we see how the reaction, positive reaction from Pakistan coming. They were very, very angry and very frustrated. They wanted to come and help, but Alhamdulillah, the kingdom was able to manage that and get the terrorists out of Makkah al-Mukarram. So, we have a historical military relationship, which that hasn't started with this agreement. It has started a long time ago, and I think we are building on this, and we will be, I'm sure, building more, to share, maneuvers here and there, and it is existing between the two, between the army in Pakistan and the Ministry of Defense in Saudi Arabia. So I think we are very blessed to have this relationship. It is a trusted relationship. It is a very faithful relationship, and no doubt that we will never let each other down at all.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Ali Assiri, for joining us and being a part of the discussion today and for your kind words.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is an important discussion forward, and we are going to be taking a look at how the situation evolves, because the relationship is integral to Pakistan, and of course Saudi Arabia is a very, very important aspect of Pakistan's foreign policy, and it is important also to understand how these dynamics are flourishing. And as Dr. Assiri was pointing out, the relationship goes way back, and there have been a number of agreements, both in terms of securities, defense and economic relations that both the countries have enjoyed since decades. But it is important to understand how exactly that will flourish, and the way it's going to be implemented in a changing world environment, and in a way that we have seen the international community respond to the kind of players such as Israel that exist in the region. And so it's going to be important for the international community, and particularly the Gulf and the Arab states, to take a look at how they can move forward with peace and security in the region. And so in light of all of that, the importance of Pakistan's relationship with Saudi Arabia increases even further. And that, of course, is a very important aspect of our economic relationship. The Future Investment Initiative is just one really important relation that Pakistan has been a part of, and a platform and initiative that Saudi Arabia has been taking for quite some time now. And the Prime Minister, speaking on a roundtable as part of this initiative, has also mentioned how under the leadership of the Crown Prince, this has flourished even more. And we're taking a look at how we're going to take in the future dynamics and the elements that are involved in an ever-changing world. To talk more about this, we've been joined by Mr. Umer Karim, who's a research fellow at the University of Birmingham. Thank you very much, Mr. Umer, for being part of the newsroom today. I'd like your take on how you take a look at the possibilities of economic potential increasing between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. We've had a long history, we have a great relationship, but in terms of making sure that we capitalize on this potential, especially in an environment that exists today, the kind of geopolitical stance that Pakistan has, the kind of conflicts and spoilers that exist in the international community, and the kind of technological advancement that we have seen in the world today. How, in these circumstances, do you think that our relationship should evolve and needs to go further despite whatever challenges exist? Mr. Umer, are you with us?
Thank you so much. And
yes, please go ahead.
yeah, I think so. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Umer, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
I think that the relationship has a long history of strength, but we have seen that this. Okay, thank you. But as you mentioned, that the relationship has not really expanded to different contours of or different sectors of Pakistan's state, and particularly the economic relationship has been very much one sectoral. We may say that Pakistan has been sending expatriate workers to Saudi Arabia, who definitely have contributed towards the development of the Saudi state and expansion of Saudi development projects. But this cooperation, this engagement has not gone beyond then that's one node, you can say, linkage. And I think this is where it's we have seen that there has been interest and urgency from the leaderships of both sides. But this sort of readiness at the top level has not really translated into concrete initiatives, or we may say that any project or any sort of long-term institutional linkage which can actually deliver for both countries. and deliver in a manner where Pakistan's contribution towards Saudi development and also the Saudi contribution towards Pakistan development goes beyond the traditional economic partnership strategies. And this is where it is very important that Pakistan doesn't just export expatriate laborers or unskilled workers to Saudi Arabia, but Pakistan is home to one of the fastest growing educational and entrepreneurial class, as well as Pakistan's IT industry, Pakistan's science industry. There are many sectors where Pakistan has that sort of capacity and workforce which can contribute towards expansion of Saudi economy under the Vision 2030. Similarly, the Saudi investment, particularly the Public Investment Fund, it's putting its bet into different economies across the world and different sectors. And I think that this is very important for the Pakistani side to attract this sort of critical investment from Saudi Arabia. We have seen that there has been some movement in the mining sector. Also, we need to formalize something with regards to the agriculture sector, particularly related to issues of food security. Saudis are also, I think, coming into the energy sector, but we need to expand this a little bit further, especially in the tourism sector. There is a lot of scope, and Pakistan's tourism sector is a little bit underdeveloped as well. So I think that can also be a wonderful avenue where there is already a readiness on both sides, but we need to develop institutional ties that can then deliver such initiatives.
Right, Mr. Umer, there is also an essential need of making sure that Pakistan's environment is also lucrative and welcoming to these partnerships because, of course, at the government level, this is welcome and encouraging that we have these agreements and we're moving forward with the economic cooperation framework. But in terms of bringing in these investments, managing these partnerships and making sure they're implemented in a proper way, particularly getting the private sector involved, do you think that Pakistan has developed that roadmap or that structure that is needed to be in place for ease of doing business in the country?
I think that Pakistan has started to move towards that, but still we are far away from reaching that ultimate goal, especially if we approach this subject from a foreign investor perspective, because this has been the main issue for not just Saudi investors, but for investors from other countries as well. And I think that the bureaucratic lacunas and a lack of streamlined regulations with regards to foreign direct investment, they have all of these variables have plagued the investment environment within the country. And although there, the SIFC was created in order to remove or to address these issues, but we still have seen that the bureaucratic handlings, particularly on ministerial level, because we see when investment project is envisioned, then a lot of different players or stakeholders within the Pakistani bureaucratic setup or governmental setup are involved, and this is where the complications begin. And I think that this is why Pakistan perhaps may need to not just all shouldn't just focus on evolving its own solutions to address these issues, but also to maybe to look at other examples in other countries, how they have attained this strategy where there is an environment which is much more investor friendly. And I think this, till we don't achieve this sort of a clarity where the investor is not only welcome but has a streamlined pathway ready for him or her to start working. Uh, Issues will always remain, even with the brotherly countries like Saudi Arabia or with other countries, because for the investor, the main issue is the environment and not the political cordiality between two countries. And this is why we need to go beyond than rhetoric on such issues.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Karim, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. This is going to be essential as to how Pakistan would like to take this relationship forward. But at the moment, these steps are very welcome, and we've seen an interest coming in from both sides. And of course, the relationship that Pakistan enjoys with Saudi Arabia is also going to be contributing towards how these two countries are going to take it forward. We're now going to be taking a look at our next story, which takes a look at how exactly Pakistan and Afghanistan have been able to take the conversation with regards to terrorist organizations in the country forward. And so this is absolutely integral to how Pakistan is taking this matter to the international community and how countries like Qatar and Turkey are helping mediate this particular issue. But it seems that unfortunately, despite these efforts, we haven't been able to move forward, and there hasn't been any guarantees from the Afghan Taliban regime to making sure that their soil is not used against Pakistan. And so unfortunately, the Istanbul talks have also ended in a deadlock. We've been joined by the former ambassador, Mr. Asif Durrani, to speak more about this and to understand what the situation is and what it represents. Thank you very much, Asif Saab, for being part of the newsroom today, and I'd especially like to thank you for taking the time out, because I'm aware that you rarely participate in programs this late. I'd like your perspective, Asif Saab, with reference to the way that you understand that the Afghan Taliban regime works, and the way that this is a necessity not just for Pakistan but the people of Afghanistan as well. And so when we talk about these terrorist organizations, the safe havens that exist, how do you think then that the Afghan Taliban regime can be influenced, given the fact that despite mediators like Qatar and Turkey, we still haven't gotten any real guarantees from the Afghan Taliban regime of making sure their soil is not used against Pakistan?
Thank you, Sana. I think by now it is becoming clear that the talks in its fourth day have not produced the desired result which was expected of Afghanistan. And the sticking point is the guarantees from the Taliban side, Afghan Taliban side, that the TTP will be roped in and their cadres would not be allowed to play any mischief inside Pakistan. I think, as far as I know, they verbally they are ready to give the guarantees, but not in written form. And this is, you can say, in a way, it has become a habit of the Afghan Taliban that they are shy of negotiating on the table. And then they think that if they can delay the issue, perhaps that would be resolved. This is not the case anymore, and especially with regard to TTP's activities and Afghanistan Taliban regime's assurances to us in the past. When I was a special rep for Afghanistan a year ago, these assurances were always forthcoming from the Taliban side that you will see a visible difference and we'll be taking action against the TTP and we'll be discouraging their crossing of Pakistan's border. But it never happened. Rather, those incidents increased. So here, I think the Taliban have lost their credibility. This is my personal view. That and then if Pakistan so decides that Taliban have no credibility, then I think that would not be good for the bilateral relationship. Yes.
There's also concern in terms of how the international community is understanding the situation. There has been discussion previously as well, and a lot coming in from the Afghan Taliban regime as well, as to how these terrorist organizations are something that is Pakistan's problem to deal with. But this is an international problem, and this is a problem of a sovereign country. And the fact that another regime in the neighborhood is not giving in the reassurance that any sovereign country should have, that their soil is not used against their territory. And this is an important aspect. Do you think that key international players in the international community is understanding that the fact that the UN reports also point out how safe havens exist, how the Afghan Taliban regime are facilitating these terror networks, contribute to something, and that they can be held accountable for it? Because the fact that these terrorist organizations are attacking Pakistan is not just Pakistan's problem.
Correct. That's why I said the Taliban are losing their credibility, because they are in a denial mode at the moment. But you see, they claim that they are in full control of Afghanistan. But this belies the fact because the UN Security Council reports are so clear, saying that number one, TTP is the largest terrorist group in Afghanistan. And then there are other over a dozen terrorist groups which are operative or which have taken shelter inside Afghanistan. Foremost being the ISKP, ETIM, IMU, and Al Qaeda. So these are the terrorist groups which are already there, and but the Taliban they deny. They think that, and they blame. Their counter blame is that ISKP is in Pakistan. It's nonsensical because had this been the case, it would have been very much in the not only in the international media but other human rights organizations. And Amnesty International, in fact, has come out with clear reports about Taliban, their presence in Afghanistan. So this is something unfortunate, and I fail to understand that by denying the existence of these terrorist groups, what do the Afghan Taliban want to prove? Reason is that if they have a problem, so Pakistan and other countries would be ready to assist them. In fact, they should be seeking, while they are seeking assistance the, for the country to have food and medicine and other assistance. So this is also an issue where they can seek assistance. And in some cases, when they sought assistance, they were helped. So it is important that they should realize that they are not living in an island. They are part of this world, and they have to take actions against those organizations and individuals who are a threat to peace. So this is what I can say, yes.
Absolutely. Ambassador Saab, there's also concern in terms of what next. And so it's important to then understand how Pakistan will now respond, or what options Pakistan has on the table if the Afghan Taliban regime continue to refuse to provide these guarantees.
Well, it's that could be, it could be anybody's guess. Apart from the kinetic operations which Pakistan can take, there could be other sanctions on the Taliban regime because they are by and large dependent on Pakistan. Yes.
Right. Thank you very much, Asif Durrani Sab, for being a part of the discussion today and sharing your views with us. It's important that countries around the world understand how integral this issue is, and that Pakistan has the right to protect its borders and, of course, protect its citizens. And the fact that terrorist organizations are being given safe havens or being facilitated by the Afghan Taliban regime is a matter of concern for everyone. We're now going to be taking a look at our last story that takes a look at the Asia-like tour of Mr. Trump, but with a particular focus on what is happening, particularly in terms of the rare earth metals that Mr. Trump seems to be taking a focus on and signing agreements with a number of countries, including most recently with Japan. And this seems to be a dynamic that is also affecting China and the relationship and possibilities of both the US and China also collaborating on this front. For this, we've been joined by Dr. Awadh Salim, who's the Associate Professor at Lamar University, Texas. Thank you very much, Dr. Awadh, for joining us and being a part of the newsroom today. I'd like your take in terms of how you think the number of agreements that Mr. Trump is signing with different countries, including most recently now with Japan, on investment, on rare earths. I want your take. How exactly do you think that's going to contribute to the current dynamic that the US enjoys with China, with a special focus on the possibilities of this dependence that earlier seemed to be there by the US?
Thanks for having me. Well, whatever we are seeing right now, there is a background to it. And if I can take you back to COVID days, we saw how the chip shortage kind of affected not only United States, but the entire world, because China had a monopoly on manufacturing those chips that are used not only in car manufacturing, electronics manufacturing, aircrafts, and you can name anything. So there was a thought within the US that perhaps this over reliance on China particularly when US and China don't enjoy very cordial relations otherwise politically and diplomatically. So there should be they should be looking somewhere else, or they should try to become self-sufficient as far as that was concerned. So we saw that a couple of factories were set up in the US, but it will take some time before they start manufacturing. And US also started looking outwards, other than China, to complement, to fulfill the needs that they had with regards to these rare earth metals. Now, coming to this agreement, uh, as we have all seen and read, that Japan will provide those rare earth metals to United States. The processing will take place, and it will kind of break the monopoly of China a little bit, but China still by far is the biggest not only producer but also processor of these rare earth metals. Now, the other thing that may affect the long term viability of this US Japan deal is that US is asking, for example, Japan to not procure LNG from Russia. Now, Russian LNG is the cheapest and the most nearest source available to Japan. So, can Japan give in to US only because they want this deal to move forward? We will have to see that. So, ever since Donald Trump came into the White House, we saw his emphasis on these sort of agreements with other countries that could help the US economy, that could increase, that could lessen the US reliance on China. And that has also, in a way, helped China because China has been able to build a bloc that has other Asian countries in it, that has now Europe kind of pivoting towards China, that has Russia in it. So we will see this tug of war kind of going forward for the foreseeable future. The only thing that can perhaps bring it to a halt will be if US and China are able to strike a deal on the proposed tariffs, but there is no indication that that will happen anytime soon.
Right. Mr. Salim, there is also a possibility of the US President and the Chinese Premier meeting this Thursday. And like you said, of course, there remains to be a lot on the table as to how these relationships will pan out. But do you think that eventually it is pointing towards a more comprehensive or a more warming up of a relationship between the two countries, particularly when we talk about the economic potentials and aspects that exist? Because we've seen the kind of rhetoric coming in from the United States that is perhaps more ambitious or optimistic as to how this dynamic is going to go forward with the legal framework or a comprehensive agreement on the horizon, and a different kind of rhetoric coming in from the Chinese side.
Well, as far as this meeting is concerned, that is going to take place on the sidelines of APEC summit. I think that it will be good for optics, but I don't see anything tangible coming out of it for two reasons. One, Donald Trump, as we have seen so far, he has been in the White House for about 8 months now. He is too high on his own supply, so to speak. He thinks that he can do anything and get away with it, and the entire world should submit to his command. Whatever he says should be followed in letter and spirit. But on the other hand, countries like China in particular, they have the holding power. They don't have those limitations that some of the smaller countries may have, who need to rely on the US for their economic needs to sustain in the short term. China doesn't have that limitation. They have reached a stage where they can sustain even without US, and they have extended to other countries, and those countries are looking towards China as an alternative. So that's why I think we will see this tug of war. We saw China extending the tariffs on the export of rare earth metals because that was meant to give a signal to the US that they are not going to budge. On the other hand, Donald Trump also is a kind of personality. When something like this happens, it becomes an egoistic issue for him. So between his ego and the Chinese power or Chinese economic power, so to speak, we will see this back and forth at least for the foreseeable future. For how long this goes on, that is anybody's guess.
Right. Thank you very much, Professor Assiri, for being a part of the discussion today. There seems to be a lot on the horizon, but the real aspects of how exactly this dynamic between the United States and China is going to evolve in the near future remains to be seen. But there is a lot of effort coming in from the US side to expand its engagements with other players in the region, including Japan, and particularly move towards less dependence for China. But how much of that will exist and what percentage of that is going to impact both American and Chinese goods is a matter that we'll be keeping an eye out on for. That's all we have from the newsroom today. We'll now see you tomorrow.